Good morning and thanks for tuning in to Northwest News. This week we'll look at a fatal house fire in Maryville, Northwest Career Day, the B.D Owens Library board game night, and more. You're watching Northwest News.
Good morning. Thanks for tuning in to Northwest News, the show where we provide the latest coverage on the Northwest campus and in the Maryville community. I'm Wiley Ray.
And I'm Skylar Stamps. This morning we have some heartbreaking news to share with you. On February 23rd, Northwest President Dr. Lance Tatum sent out an email regarding the passing of a fellow Bearcat.
First-year freshman Jase Wilmes passed away in a car crash Sunday morning near Clarinda, Iowa. According to the Iowa State Patrol, a single vehicle crash in Page County occurred at 2:41 a.m. at 210th Street near Willow Avenue. Wilmes
was a freshman attending Northwest studying agricultural business. Before coming to Northwest, Jase was a first-team All-State defensive lineman at Clarinda High School. He was a member of the Northwest football team where he played on the defensive line. He will be missed by many in the Northwest community, and our deepest condolences go out to his family and friends.
Northwest encourages students needing counseling assistance to contact Wellness Services at 660-562-1348 or by contacting University Police at 660-562-1254.
Faculty and staff needing assistance may call the University Employee Assistance Program at 800-964-3577 or reach out to Daisy Hasey at Certified Licensed Professional Counselor through Northwest at dhasey@fgcnow.org or by calling 816-261-3091.
If you or someone you know is struggling during this time, please reach out. Additional crisis counseling support is available to all members of the Northwest community by calling 988.
Also last week in the Maryville community, a residential home burst into flames.
A fatal fire broke out at a home on Chick Avenue, leaving one Maryville resident dead on the morning of February 24th.
The fire was reported at 3:51 a.m. by someone passing by, and within 5 minutes, firefighters arrived at the scene.
According to the Maryville Fire Department, a male resident had become trapped inside his home on the main floor. Firefighters entered the home through a window and within minutes located and removed him.
The Maryville man was identified as 76-year-old Scott Ross. He was transported by Nottoway County Ambulance District personnel to Mosaic Medical Center, where he was later pronounced dead.
The fire was put out around 5:56 a.m. Maryville Fire Chief Jase Pine encourages anyone with information about the fire or security camera footage that might have captured the incident to reach out to him at 660-562-3209.
In campus news, Career Day was held last week over at the Hughes Fieldhouse, and there were many opportunities for students to connect with future employers.
Northwest News reporter Anthony Martinez has more on the many businesses that attended, along with students who are on the job hunt.
Northwest Missouri State University recently hosted their Career Day at Hughes Fieldhouse this past week. This gave students the opportunity to connect with employers from around the region, many of which included school districts, news stations, and many more. I got the chance to talk with Jackson Faulkner, a speech and theater education major at Northwest who attended Career Day, looking for opportunities post-grad coming up for him in a couple of months. We touched on topics on how Career Day has been for him, what he would change, and how students could take advantage of something like this.
It's been a great experience. I had the opportunity to talk to a lot of schools, which is great. And it's a great networking opportunity with a lot of resources. I've had the opportunity to talk to a lot of employees. Like I said, it's a great networking opportunity and it's a very beneficial experience. I really like the opportunity to just kind of see people in your similar field. It's been a really cool experience to see all the different schools that are here from different regions of Missouri, so that's great. The only thing that I would change is, I guess, just adding even more companies, businesses, schools, stuff like that, just so we can get even more networking.
Many students took advantage of this event, as it was a busy morning at Hughes. Northwest student Zach Mitchell touched on how he plans to use Career Day to help him in his career, how it benefits him currently, and some advice to freshmen attending this event today.
Yeah, I just plan to get experience from Career Day, talk to different people, make some new relationships and connections with the schools I could be interested in. Career Day benefits me because as a future educator, I can talk to different school districts and see what they're about. Yeah, I'd recommend to a freshman just show up, see what it's about. It might be a little nerve-wracking, but everyone here just wants to help you out. So just be yourself, ask some questions, and take what you can get out of it.
As this event always brings a big turnout from campus, it will most likely be returning in the fall as Northwest hosts this event once a semester. Reporting from Northwest News, I'm Anthony Martinez.
A great opportunity for students seeking internships and future jobs, as well as networking.
Moving on, one group of students held an informational and educational 1-mile walk where students and community members were invited to learn more about exercise.
Northwest News reporter Zac Scott shares more with us about the benefits of physical exercise, such as taking a walk.
Wednesday marked a new chapter for Northwest as student health takes top priority in the Student Recreation Center with the Walk with a Doc event. Hosted by the Applied Health Science Club and ran by Dr. Tina Pulley, Northwest students were invited to walk 12 laps around the track to improve and advocate for both physical and mental health for students. Doctors from the Mosaic Medical Center were invited by Dr. Pulley to talk with students and answer questions about healthy choices while they walk their 12 laps. One of the guests, Dr. Terry Simmons, is a constant guest in Dr. Pulley's classes where he makes sure to teach students about the benefits of health and exercise.
The importance of socialization, being around other people, huge benefit from that. 2 is the sharing of information, any education that you can take away from a program or a class such as this. And just then the benefits in general of exercise, in this case walking.
The Applied Health Science Club hopes to keep events going that keep students active in body as well as healthy in mind. This has been Zac Scott with Northwest News.
The Exercise is Medicine on Campus program is used to promote physical activity on college campuses. The program encourages faculty, staff, and students to work together to improve the campus community's health and well-being.
The goal of having exercise as medicine on campus here at Northwest is to give students practical experiences in health science and wellness.
Looking ahead, the Humanities Department hosted their annual Ask Valk Anything series last week. When we return, Northwest News reporter Micah Stolley tells us more about what was covered in last week's lecture. You're watching Northwest News.
Northwest Tower Yearbook has dedicated over a century to documenting life on campus and in the Maryville community. The award-winning organization has numerous Pacemaker Awards and a spot in the Associated Collegiate Press Hall of Fame. Learn more about Tower at the handles below.
Welcome to Tales of the Dice Roll, a story-driven role-playing show. This season, we're in Downpour, Nebraska at Robert Olmsted High. Here, you'll have the opportunity to explore your interests.
Wait, what's up?
Build connections with your peers. Something off. Strike out on your own.
Do you think this is fun?
And become an overall well-rounded you.
Someone please!
So join us Saturdays at noon to learn more about our tactics.
Thank you for sticking with us and welcome back to Northwest News. It was a fiery discussion last week as the Ask Valk Anything topic was over the California wildfires. Northwest News reporter Micah Stolley tells us more about the discussion and what experts here at Northwest had to say.
The Ask Valk Anything series is an event that aims to answer the questions students have about current events and what matters to them. Valk invites experts from around the Northwest community to help answer these questions in an hour-long panel where students are invited to ask about the topic of the event. The topic of this event is the California fires that have been affecting the nation for weeks with burning the majority of Los Angeles. The event wants to answer questions students have about why celebrities are directly affected at this time, what happens when urban areas suffer from climate threats. The event also spoke on how the effects of this disaster can affect the insurance of areas all around America. With such a recent and popular event organizer Dr. Sarah Naramore hopes to answer the questions students have about the current topic.
With Ask Valk Anything in general, the goal is really to have students to give us sort of a less formal space to interact with students, to show how our expertise in the department can apply and does apply to these real world issues in a space that's not the classroom, that's not limited to whether you're a major or you're taking a particular class.
The Ask Valk Anything series has lasted around 2 years and has meetings throughout the semester, with their most recent meeting being on February 13th, covering the recent presidential actions and if they were constitutional or not. The Ask Valk Anything series plans to have 2 more meetings, with one on March 27th and the next on April 10th. The next event plans to answer questions about why the early 2000s are so similar to the early 1900s. The event after that one plans to cover how podcasts are all about true crime and why that specific genre has blown up in recent years. Reporting for Northwest News, I'm Micah Stolley.
It looked like a great turnout from students and faculty.
The Ask Valk Anything series invites faculty and community experts to answer questions about current events and issues of interest from Northwest students. These panel discussions bring multiple disciplinary perspectives to complex issues and facilitates open conversations between students, faculty, and community members.
If you missed this session, be sure to join them on March 27th as they will be discussing the new Gilded Age, or join them on April 10th as they talk about the topic Only Murders in the podcast.
Happening at the B.D. Owens Library, some students took a study break to play some games and win prizes.
Last week, the Student Activities Council in B.D. Owens Library hosted a board game night for students to take a break from the books.
Northwest News reporter Reece Hill has more on the action.
The Student Activities Council recently invited students to take a study break, hosting a board game night at B.D. Owens Library. Students at Northwest had the opportunity to relax for the night and play a wide variety of board games provided by SAC ahead of midterms. SAC also provided snacks for the evening, with those in attendance able to enjoy freshly made popcorn. Door prizes were raffled off, with a few lucky winners walking away with a Nintendo Switch, iPad, and Walmart gift cards. For the stories that matter to you, I'm Reece Hill, reporting for Northwest News.
What a great way to get students to relax and have some fun before finals start.
Speaking of events put on by SAC, last week SAC announced who will be performing at this year's spring concert.
Drumroll, please. This year's Northwest 2025 Spring Concert will be X Ambassadors. X Ambassadors is a multi-platform rock trio.
The concert will be held on April 4th at 7 p.m. in the Carl and Cheryl Hughes Fieldhouse. Doors will open at 5:30 p.m.
Northwest student and employee tickets are $10 if purchased in advance, or can be purchased on the day of for $15. Tickets are available online at www.nwmissouri.edu/getinvolved/SAC/events.
Coming up, we'll get a glimpse of what the Northwest Missourian covered this past week.
When we return, we'll check out some highlights from last week's edition of the Missourian with managing editor Hannah Claywell. You're watching Northwest News.
Welcome to Untold Stories, your brand new spot for an inside look at everyday people. We'll be taking a behind-the-scenes look at anything from libraries to your favorite local restaurant or even your next-door neighbor, showing off all the parts of their day you wouldn't usually see. Finding the reason why people do what they do and what keeps them going each day. All right here on KNWT, airing Wednesdays at noon.
So you want to know how to be creative?
I think I know some people.
Here at KNWT,
we know a thing or two about creativity.
Whether that be weekly shows, promos, or social media.
We got you covered.
We write, film, and edit to bring creativity to all of our work.
I mean, our national awards speak for themselves.
So if you want to know how to be creative,
we can show you.
Creative Services.
Welcome back to Northwest News, the place where you can find news and whereabouts on what's happening in the Northwest and Maryville community. Thanks for sticking with us.
Last week, the Northwest Missourian included coverage about City Manager Greg McDaniel's departure, a local content creator's opinion on social media platforms, and an Ask Valk Anything entitled, Is It Constitutional? Managing editor of the Northwest Missourian, Hannah Claywell, tells us more.
Thanks, Skylar and Wiley. In this week's issue of the Missourian, we will take a sneak peek into City Manager Greg McDaniel's departure and look at an Ask Valk Anything event held on campus. Over a dozen years have passed since Maryville hired Greg McDaniel as its city manager, but now the town is preparing for management changes as McDaniel says farewell. McDaniel announced his resignation February 6th after serving in the role since 2012. McDaniel's last day will be March 7th, with assistant manager Ryan Hyland set to become interim city manager for a 6-month period following. I've had the pleasure for over 13 years serving this community and serving an incredible group of elected officials and city staff, and we've accomplished a lot together, Greg McDaniel said. McDaniel accepted a city manager position in Seaside, California, a town with a population of 31,317. Over 3 times larger than Maryville. While Seaside is much larger than Maryville, McDaniel said the size of the community is not considered when he evaluates other job opportunities. Rather, he looks at the jobs themselves and gauges how well they speak to his background and skill set. Next, we take a look into an Ask Valk Anything event held on campus. Executive orders, birthright citizenship, and term limits. These were all in question during the spring semester's first Ask Valk Anything event in accordance with events taken place so far in President Donald Trump's second term. Ask Valk Anything, Is It Constitutional? Had about 10 students in attendance February 13th. Assistant Professor of History, Sarah Naramore, said she was inspired to continue this event due to recent concerns her students voiced about the latest of Trump's actions, including some executive orders many believe violate the Constitution. Executive orders basically are the president trying to tell their employees in a way how to carry out laws that have been passed by Congress. Most things still have to go through Congress, which means they're also subject to judicial review, so the courts could say something's unconstitutional, Assistant Professor of Political Science Marlise Katzberg-Leonard said. However, the topic of executive orders was short. Students' attendants were then allowed to ask their own questions, many regarding some of Trump's potential future decisions. For more on these stories or to read the full versions of stories, be sure to read this week's issue of the Missourian. Now back to your Northwest news anchors, Skylar and Wiley.
Thank you, Hannah, and to the staff of the Northwest Missourian for providing us coverage on these stories.
Also, spring break kicks off next week, and we want to know how you spent it. So if you are going somewhere cool and want to be featured on Northwest News, send us your photos.
You can submit your spring break photos to us by direct messaging them to our Instagram at KNWT TV. We hope everyone has a great spring break.
Well, that's all the time we have for Northwest News. Be sure to go to the description below to rewatch certain sections of our show.
And be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for all of the latest news and updates. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope to catch you here as we go live every Sunday at 11 a.m. This has been Northwest News. Thanks for watching.